Well, good evening, and if somebody in the chat can help me know if the mic and everything sounds okay. Good evening for one final time here with GoFAST Racing for Season 4. Season finale here at Paul Ricard. And it is looking to be a good one. The overall championship has all but been secured by Prieto, who is now going to drive the Nissan GTR for tonight. Does have a pretty good top speed. But the main conversation is going to be in the realm of the amateur championship. 5 different ways that amateur championship could possibly go. Tychopath and Manelli pretty much a winner-take-all between the two, unless Manelli were able to, or unless Tychopath were able to finish P2. Sorry, if Manelli finishes P2 behind Manelli's win, it may be close enough between the two for Manelli, or for Tychopath to not take it. Manelli 221 points if you calculate the drop race, plus Tychopath 227 points if you calculate the drop race. If you do not calculate the drop race, it is a bit larger of a margin, but we'll just have to see how everything rounds out tonight when we start to include those drop races and those points from tonight. Schwartz, one of the drivers in the conversation for the AM Championship tonight in the number 99 Aston Martin. Tychopath, one of the big talking points tonight, very much in the position to take home the AM Championship, currently running in second place behind Manelli. Tychopath, if you calculate the drop races, does bump up ahead, so it is a wash between Manelli and Tychopath. If either one of them were to win tonight, likely should be enough to take home the AM Championship, as Tychopath just goes on to the AM pole. P8 overall, fastest in the AM class. Manelli has a lot of work to do. Had the early lead in AM, now has to try and defend the championship lead. But again, it is neck and neck in the championship fight between Tychopath and Manelli. But both of those drivers have seen a lot of bad luck throughout the season, and any bit of bad luck tonight would throw them out of that championship immediately and hand the other driver the advantage. Look to see Tychopath and Manelli very close to each other in qualifying. We have seen Tychopath qualify very deep into the pro field. No doubt that he will be upgraded to pro next season. Manelli just needs to try and do his best to qualify close, because we do have the split qualifying. 10 minutes to the AM drivers at the beginning of qualifying, the 10 minutes to the pro drivers at the end of qualifying. And we have seen the margin between the AM leader and the AM runner-up at the end of qualifying be separated by quite a few pro drivers. The margins may be small, but a lot of drivers fill in those spots in between the two competitors. Marvy currently on top of the board in the BMW, 154.075, the provisional pole, or just the fastest time in free practice. Let's have a bit of a look at our track tonight, our venue, Paul Ricard, or Circuit du Paul Ricard. It is a long one if you count it from end to end, and Harvey, who had been in the Aston Martin for the majority of the season, still rocking those Aston Martin colors, the British Racing Green and Lime Green. But roaring down the straight, if you would remember the Formula One configuration of the track, you can see the chicane that the Formula One cars take in the background there, but up around turn 8, very, very fast flying right-hander, which then throws you down into the long right-hand hairpin. Comes back around acute and brings you in to turn 10. Very, very tricky late apex corner. Big curve on the inside that can push the nose of the car to the outside. Then you cross back over and get on the inside apex for turn 12. As you come around turns 13 and 14, the final two corners on the circuit. Very easy to lose a bunch of momentum on the exit of that final turn, but across the line, not going to be a faster lap, but just a good lap for Marvy. One thing to watch is going to be that pit exit. Throws you right onto the racing line for the entrance into turn 1. The fast sweeping chicane, very easy to invalidate the lap on both the entry and the exit of that chicane. Then we roar down to the next chicane, a bit bigger chicane, but it is a bit more narrow as well. Or a bit shallow, a bit more shallow, I should say, but it does get very, very tight down into the arena section for turns 4 and 5. You come around for the long left-hander of turn 6 before you come back around, sorry, the right-hander of turn 6 before you come back around for the left-hander of 7, and then back down the long straight you go. Schwartz showing some pace in free practice, a couple tenths faster than the AM competitor of Tycho Path, and Schwartz does have the ability to win this championship tonight, but it's going to take a bit of math from both Tycho Path and Manelli. Schwartz needs to win with a bad result from both Tycho Path and Manelli, and I believe Nate as well. It's a tight race at the front of that AM championship field. And Schwartz actually down a few positions now. Nate in the Mustang, who is another driver that has the opportunity to take home this AM championship tonight. Rounding turns 4, 5, and 6. And the Mustang, this car is at home here at Paul Ricard. Very, very long straight. Really able to put that top speed to the test, and I can guarantee you that the top speed of that Mustang will be very much a powerful weapon in the race tonight. That Mustang with any sort of slipstream is going to make light work of whatever GT car is in front of it. Maybe not the Lexus, but I believe the only Lexus that we have is going to be the 999 of Sierra, who is also in that AM championship fight. Has a lot more work to do to be in the conversation, but is not completely out of it. And teammate to the overall champion, who has already clinched into this final round, Ouroboros, teammate to our champion Prieto, who we will get into the booth tonight. And a bit of a wiggle down into turn 3, just having to take evasive action and abandon the track. Schwartz and Tycho Path down a ways. Tycho Path actually getting knocked down one more spot by Francisco in the BMW. Who else is in this fight for the AM championship? Manelli, Tycho Path, Nate, Schwartz, and Sierra. Those are our drivers that really have the best opportunity tonight. Sierra is the long shot. Schwartz as well. Nate a bit closer in third place. And it will just come down to how the drop races are calculated. 5 minutes left in free practice. It's currently Nate on the pole in and rolling out back onto the track, get a few more laps in, try and find some more space. Maybe don't want to run the fastest lap that you can in qualifying. Kind of show your hand early. The BMW very, very strong here. Has the first sector, the top time in the first sector by quite a large margin. think I may need to refresh though. Ferrari of Ouroboros may have gone faster. And yes, actually a couple tenths faster. Slapshot up into P2. We were talking a bit earlier about how Slapshot has a lot of work to do when it comes to improving throughout the season. Looking for a return to form for Slapshot next season. It was supposed to be this season, but maybe it does take a bit to scrub off the barnacles and all the seaweed when you wash up from the beach. But Slapshot looking to beat the washed up allegations tonight, and definitely looking to have a better run at the championship next season. Multiple time championship with GoFAST Racing is Slapshot, but just not having that sort of luck this year. Did manage to put it on pole at Bathurst, but a bit of bad luck threw that opportunity away. A winless season for Slapshot, but it may be not all to waste, as he does have one more opportunity tonight. Thank you to those who have tuned in early. If you would like to support the streams, and if you've enjoyed the commentary throughout the season, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd throw me a Twitch Prime subscription. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you anything. Or if you would like to just use a regular Twitch subscription, it does cost around $5, but I get about half of that. If you'd like to directly support me, there is a link on the channel in the About tab. Nothing is required, but just ask if any of you would like to support the streams. That is the best way to do so. On board with Aramich. Second place in the championship. Does not really have an opportunity in this final round tonight. Had an opportunity last week, but things just did not go his way, and ultimately handed Prieto the overall championship. Not much to be done about it, but Aramich can still get out there and try and get another victory this week. Multi-time champion, multi-time victor, Aramich definitely not going to be counted out for the race win tonight. Schwartz still out, trying to find a bit more time or just get some more laps in, maybe doing a bit of race simulation. Pit stops definitely going to be, or need to be, spot on tonight if you want to have any chance of bringing home the victory at the end of the night tonight. You need to be absolutely perfect in the pit lane. Cannot afford any penalty. One penalty will take you out of the race, pretty much guaranteed. It has been that way all season. Track limits also going to be a bit of a factor here. Don't typically have too much of an issue with track limits here with GoFAST Racing, as we do see Schwartz go not off the track limits there. I think that was just a bit of a camera illusion. But track limits, very easy to overstep the bounds here at Paul Ricard and get awarded a drive-through penalty. Not quite going to be the end of the world. If you're at the front of the field, it would mean that you'd have to try and fight your way back and put yourself on a different pit strategy. Would definitely take a good bit of time away. Aramich knocks Slapshot down to P3 as Aramich goes up into P2. I believe may have one more opportunity at a flying lap should he choose to take it, but the majority of the field has gone into the pit lane to get ready for AM qualifying. Pro qualifying is always the show, but AM qualifying is definitely going to have some big championship implications, as that AM qualifying could very well be a telltale sign of who your AM champion is going to be at the end of the night. Aramich will go for one more lap Almost none of our AM drivers out. Tycho Path and Schwartz still out, though. Those two drivers definitely in with a shout at the championship if they can bring home the win tonight and have a bit of luck with the finishing order of their competitors. Schwartz definitely going to need some help from both Tycho Path and Manelli. Needs them both to finish down the order in the AM field quite a ways, which pretty much would mean that they'd need to be involved in some sort of incident. Nate may be able to take the championship outright if he can win, and we're going to see a practice pit stop from Tycho Path. Very, very crucial heading into tonight's race. You need to make sure that you have that pit limiter line memorized and also where your pit box is. We have seen it throughout this season, drivers going right past the pit box, maybe messing with the pit strategy right at the very end. Prieto, the clinched champion, goes up into P2. Bradzilla in the Mustang coming into the pit lane. Ormiston, the reigning champion, has not had quite the fiery season that he had last season, and is, I believe, outside of the points opportunity, well outside of the opportunity for an overall championship. But where is he in the standings? Fourth in the standings, fifth if you don't count the drop races, and Aramich will be the last to cross the line to bring an end to free practice. And in dramatic fashion crosses the line. Now it is time. This is the big one. Who is going to go out first? Schwartz is rolling. Is Schwartz going to be out first? Yes, he is. I believe he is. Michael D just dropped off the jacks, but no, it will be Schwartz out first. Tycho Path immediately behind. Then, is that Manelli or is that Nightwalker? It is not Nightwalker. That may have been Manelli in the Ferrari, if I can find him. No, it was Scroll. So it is Schwartz out in front, has the open track, has all of the room, clear skies up ahead. Tycho Path is behind, and Tycho Path can give chase. If Tycho Path can get in that slipstream and get around without hindering the lap time too much, may be able to really get an advantage. But it depends on how they line up when they come to the end of this outlap. Schwartz going a bit wide through 6 and through 7 clean. We'll see a bit of top speed difference. We'll actually go on board with the Aston Martin. And I don't think the Aston Martin is going to have too good of the top speed advantage, or any top speed advantage, over that McLaren 720S. You see a bit of weaving from Scroll and Michael D behind. Schwartz and Tycho Path straight to business, though, doing the Kimi Räikkönen tire warming strategy, where there is no tire warming strategy. Down around turn 9 as we come through 10. Tycho Path has closed up a bit behind, and this is just the race to the outlap. When they cross the line, they will start their first flying lap of the session, and you may want that first flying lap to be the good lap, as it is definitely going to have the least amount of traffic infractions, so long as no one comes out of the pit lane ahead of Schwartz here, which I don't believe there are any other AM drivers in the pit lane. And no, everyone in AM is out and on track. So across the line, Schwartz with Tycho Path, who has closed up the gap a good bit, will start this AM qualifying session. Down into turn 1, it looks nice. We'll actually go on board with Schwartz for this lap. A tad bit of oversteer coming out of turn 1 and 2. We're down through the slight kink into turn 3. Also going to be watching in that mirror. You see the McLaren of Tycho Path immediately behind. If Tycho Path is gaining a lot, especially here through this arena section, being mid-engine, may be able to rotate the car a bit more than the front engine Aston Martin. But on the throttle, nice and hard, come out of 6 and into 7. Now down the back straight, a very, very, very long straight. It does seem to be that Schwartz may have gotten a bit of a better run out of this corner than Tychopath, as Tychopath is getting a bit smaller in the mirror. I think the Aston Martin, at least with the setup that Schwartz has, may be faster in the straight line. Coming into turn 8, fast flying, very easy to invalidate. I don't know if this is going to be valid. It's going to be a bit sketchy coming into turn 9 though. He wants to try and hold on to it to keep it valid, but it may have been invalidated. Just have to wait and see how this comes at the line. Tychopath is definitely much closer than he was before. This is the late apex of 10 before we come around the right-hander of 11. Stick it on the inside apex and ride it until you see it end, and then go over to the inside apex on the left-hand side for 12. Then we come to the tight right-hander of 13, and no, it's going to be an invalidation and hand over that track position to Tychopath. What will the lap be for Tychopath as he comes across the line? 154.777, not quite the 153 that we saw our pros running, but the tires are still warming up. Just getting into halfway through the AM qualifying session. And we'll see what the other AM drivers are able to bring to the fold. Nate, I believe, will be one of our next across the line. Manelli went P5. Nate in the Mustang, definitely going to be one to watch. Mustang with the highest top speed. It's invalid, so it's going to be another go around. Don't have too many opportunities to not put in a valid lap, especially with a 2-minute lap. That does give you about 2 more opportunities for a flying lap. And what about the pros? Prieto, no need to sit at the front of the field, but Aramich is ready to go, the teammate of Trixit in the McLaren, sitting right beside, just waiting to roll out of the pit box. Welcome in, Salinas. Wish you could be out there as well, but glad you're here with us. Not quite going to break the 40 car number tonight, but it is the finale round. A lot less drivers have something to race for, and Paul Ricard, not the favorite track for many of our drivers either. Has been a very eventful season. A few new names making big splashes. Ketu, a notable name in there, and I don't believe Ketu is racing tonight. Yes, he is in the NSX. Ketu, a new name. Zoanam, a new name this season. Who else was new this season? Nightwalker, I believe, was new this season, and Phoenix Gecko, who I'm not sure is racing with us tonight, new as well. Tychopath takes off a bit more time, getting closer and closer to the 153. Tychopath definitely wants that championship tonight. Shuby in the BMW up to P2, Sierra in P3, and Schwartz in P4. Manelli in P5. Manelli going to have some work to do from the back. But pretty much your entire top 5, the only one yet to set a time is Nate in the Mustang. And Nate, aside from the 2 leaders of Tychopath and Manelli, Nate has the 3rd best shot at the championship tonight. Definitely going to need to see something from Nate before the end of this session if he wants to have any realistic chance at getting that championship tonight. We'll have to see how the Mustang will handle during the race, though, especially with other cars on track that may not have the top speed that the Mustang has. Could be very easy work for the Mustang in slipstream to just sail right on past Tychopath. We'll see if this lap is good enough for the 153. And across the line from Tycho Path, yes, it is a 153, 153.912. Next across the line from Schwartz, no improvement there. And a 1 second margin from Tycho Path to the next AM driver of Shuby. And Schwartz going to have a bit of an issue on this lap. Coming into the final corner, is it going to be a valid lap from Nate? Definitely needs one again if he wants to have any realistic chance of the championship tonight. Across the line from Nate, was it valid? No, I don't believe it was. Has one final opportunity for a lap here, or it's going to be an uphill battle for the Mustang driver. I believe he may have clinched. The Gone By Burnouts team may have clinched the AM championship. Let me check the standings, though. And I believe, yes, they have clinched the AM team championship. The Pro Team Championship, I believe the Animus Racing Pacifica team has locked that one down. But not quite over yet. If it can be a Team BDK Mod 1-2, there is the possibility of some shakeup there in the team championships. But as of right now, Prieto, both a championship winner, overall championship winner, and team championship winner. Tycho Path across the line finds another 10th of improvement. Our pros are about to roll out of the pit lane. Schwartz across the line did not find any improvement. The 90 of Michael D out will head into the pit lane. The 555 of Manelli, currently P6, needs a lot of time. Has he found it? Across the line is not going to improve. Scroll into the pit lane. 12 of Nightwalker goes up to P11. The 14 of Bradzilla, as there was some contact there, I believe, with one of our pro drivers. Nate, good enough for P6, knocks Manelli down a position. The 333 of Cabe goes into the pit lane. And that will bring an end to the session. Tycho Path, no. He crossed the line with enough time left. He's going for one more lap. He's all out by himself. Did Schwartz come across the line with time for one more? I believe he may have. And Schwartz wants it. He's out there just ahead of the pro field. And the pro field was rolling as soon as that clock hit 0 for the AM field. Schwartz is pushing it, though. Tycho Path currently has the overall pole. Granted, none of our pros have set a lap time yet. And Schwartz wants to close the gap. Schwartz does have an opportunity. That's a big slide into turn 10, though. May have taken some time out of the car. Tycho Path, he'll stick to the line if it's any improvement. He'll pull into the pit lane if it's not an improvement. It is not an improvement. Does Schwartz have any improvement? Is it going to be too wide? No, dives into the pit lane, so no improvement there. Who is leading the pro field? I believe that is the Porsche of Peach. No, it is the Porsche. Sorry, not the Porsche of Brute. That is the Porsche of Peach. And that highlighter yellow. Those of you in the chat, if there are any of you sitting around the keyboard, just let me know if the mic quality is okay. I have not checked it yet. I just kind of assumed it was okay, but if any of you can just verify that the mic audio quality is fine. Up through turn 6, the Porsche, a strong car here. Not the strongest. It definitely struggles a bit in top speed compared to some of the other manufacturers. Tire wear is a big factor here at Paul Ricard in the Porsche. It's not impossible for a pole position from the Porsche. It's not impossible for a pole position from any of the cars, but it is going to be a bit harder for the Porsche. I believe Prieto opting for the GTR tonight is going to be a bit more of a fun challenge car, as he has finished his season pretty much. And Manelli hates Paul Ricard. Well, that's understandable. But sometimes you're going to have to deal with it. But it is going to be between you and Tychopath. And while I understand this is not a favorite track for many, as Peach sets the first lap time for the pro field, Aramage goes P2 overall, Ormiston goes P1, putting the top speed strength of the Ford Mustang, which actually received his first maiden real race win yesterday at the Rolex 24, the Daytona 24 hour. Brute in the Porsche. Second overall, Tychopath still with the top time overall, and I believe Tychopath, regardless of the outcome tonight, whether or not he is champion, is going to get promoted into the pro class next season. So Tychopath, enjoy the AM class while it lasted. You've definitely shown that you can compete in the pro field. Just have not had the luck all season. Tycho is an amateur because he has just been very unlucky all season. He should, and no fault to you, Manelli, is you did a very, very good job throughout the season, but Tychopath, if he didn't have the issues, he would be gone away with the championship, I believe. And no, Nate, in the Mustang, you are going to have a really, really good opportunity, especially with the very, very long backstretch playing directly into the hands of the Mustang. As long as you can keep it close to the car in front in the corners, you should have no problem just cruising right on by down the back straight. Slapshot, he was taking a bit of a hit earlier for a few allegations, being washed up, being old, retired, coming out of retirement, and definitely showing that he wants to put on a show tonight, wants to get a win this season. He had the opportunity at Bathurst, but the young talent is now starting to set those lap times. 53.2 for Ouroboros, and about 3/10 back from Ormiston. What is that lap time from Ormiston? Wait for the live timing to update. Most disrespected driver in GFR history. He's the most a lot of things in GFR history. Trixit actually currently out qualifying the teammate of Aramage. And, well, Prieto, who will sit in the pit lane, is not going to be qualifying, has secured the overall championship. Remember, that is a 5-way championship for the AM field. That championship could go one of 5 ways. Could go to Tychopath, could go to Manelli, could go to Nate, could go to Schwartz, could go to Sierra. Now Sierra would have to win, and it would have to be a very bad incident for the rest of the guys up front. But sometimes a big incident is what you need, especially if you are starting a bit further from the back. Ouroboros pushing very, very hard. He's going to keep it off the wall, though. Maybe had a bit more time in the car. Ormiston across the line. We'll be able to get this lap and one more. But a few of our drivers just now coming out of turn 9 will be starting their final flying lap. this next lap, next time they come across the line. Slap has the win today. That would be, that would definitely be quite the feat from Slap, but he is showing that he's bringing a bit of pace to the table tonight, so it cannot be ruled out whatsoever. It's going to be a good finale race tonight. Share the stream with your friends, share the stream with your family, and thank you to those of you who will be tuning in post-stream. Thank you to GoFAST Racing for fantastic opportunity of streaming for this league. This is the fastest league on console. Just look at some of the lap times, some of the qualifying times set through the field. Ouroboros just now getting onto the long back straight. Griffith, a newer addition this season to the GoFAST Racing lineup, at least from my knowledge, currently in P4. A few of our drivers will be crossing the line to start their final flying lap. And then just behind them, it will be the end of their qualifying session. Aramich has one more lap to try to improve. Same thing with Ormiston, who will not try to improve. Good enough for P2, he says. Ketu, I believe, will be one of our first across the line to not go for another. Your mom is barely going to make it. Yes, it is going to be Ketu first across the line. P14 will not improve. And who was that? Ouroboros locks in P1 for the time being. Griffith across the line next stays P5. The number 34 of Dingham sideways and in the gravel trap, not going to be able to improve. The 416 of Slapshot. He's got another opportunity. He's got no one else around him on track. Is he on a flyer tonight? Does he have it put together for the pole position? Can he take it away from Ouroboros? All eyes rest on the former champion, former retiree, came out of retirement this season, wants to get back into the saddle. While he hasn't had exactly the season that he would have wanted this season, he is very quickly going to pull into the pit lane. Awesome run from Slapshot. The 86 of Trixit coming out of turn 9 and then into 10. The 128 of Goose Slayer. We did see him on pole for a short amount of time in free practice, and the number 71 of Your Mom will be the last across the line. Cars are getting a bit dirty throughout this qualifying session, a bit dirtier than we see, in an overrun on the curb from Trixit, going to send him around, and that will end Trixit's qualifying. The 128 of Goose Slayer, as I believe the 71 of Your Mom has abandoned his lap, but is lined up right beside the teammate. Side by side, Goose Slayer across the line. Will it be any improvement from him? Currently P13 goes up to P12. Well, it's Ouroboros on pole. Let's take a look at the timetables. Ouroboros P1, Ormiston P2, RV P3, Tychopath P4, Griffith P5. Oh, come back. Griffith P5, Aramich P6, Slapshot P7, Your Mom P8, Douglas P9, Trixit P10, Gooseman P11, Goose Slayer P12, Brute P13, Ketu P14, Peach P15, Francisco P16, Shuby P17, Leclerc P18, Langley P19, Sierra P20, Schwartz P21, Nate P22, Zoanon P23, Manelli P24, Dingham P25, Scroll P26, Cabe P27, James Earl Jones P28, Michael D P29, Nightwalker P30, Yakashoka's P31, Bradzilla P32, Devin Lingard P33, Autry P34, and Giant P35. And if we break it up by the AM field, Tychopath on pole, Shuby P2, Leclerc P3, Sierra, one of the first drivers who does have that opportunity for the AM Championship in P4. Then Schwartz, Nate, and Benelli, all four of those drivers trying to take this championship away from Tycho Path, right there from P4 to P7. Scroll P8, Cabe P9, James L. Jones P10, Michael D P11, Nightwalker P12, Bradzilla P13, and Devin Lingard P14. We'll take a short break and we will be right back for the formation lap. Don't go anywhere. And we will get started with the final round of this season. If there are a few of you who are not seeing an ad right now, and if you're sitting on the grid and you would like to wager a few channel points on who you think will win the AM Championship, go ahead and click on your preferred driver that you think will win the AM Championship and wager those channel points. Welcome back. We are now rolling with the formation lap. And there is a prediction up if you would like to wager some channel points and see which of the drivers you think will take home the AM Championship. Click on the prediction and put in your bet for who you think will take it home. Tycho Path, 10 channel points to Tycho Path, so not a ton of wager on him, but he is definitely going to be one of the favorites, being the furthest qualified by quite a large margin. But he has been a very, very unlucky driver throughout the season. He's sitting P4 overall, and quite a long ways back to the next AM driver that is going to be the 35 of Shuby, who is quite a ways back. But just behind him, you have Sierra, Schwartz, Nate, and Benelli. All four of these drivers trying to take the win away from Tycho Path. If Benelli can beat Tycho Path in the AM standings tonight, that would, I believe, give Benelli the AM championship. If Tycho Path wins, then Tycho Path would take home that championship. There is only one way to find out. Ouroboros will lead the field to the line, the reigning champion, who will relinquish his car number of 1 at the end of the night and hand it over to the driver of Prieto, who will be at the very back of the field. We'll see how far Prieto will be able to run. Actually, I think Prieto may have sat out and actually may have disconnected, so I think we may not have Prieto in tonight, our reigning champion, although he does not need to race. Still like to see how far he can make it. It is a long formation lap, long way to go. Ouroboros will lead the field, followed by Ormiston, followed by Marvy, who has done a very good job in the BMW to get up there in P3. And then Tychopath, who just needs to finish strong, has been a very troublesome point for Tychopath this season, just finishing strong in many races, having some issues finishing, either due to internet issues or issues with the car, being involved in incidents. Tychopath just needed to keep his nose clean. Likely not going to see him race those drivers around him too hard. They are all fighting for the overall win, and while I'm sure that Tychopath would love to go for that overall win as well, he has bigger fish to fry with the championship looming above his head. Ouroboros in the Ferrari leads Ormiston in the Mustang, Marvy in the BMW P3, Tychopath in the McLaren P4. We come out of turn 13, the final corner. It's very, very tight. A few of our drivers may be starting just on that corner. I think the full field should get onto the straightaway before we go green flag, but it's Ouroboros leading Ormiston at the line. And green, 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 we are racing for the final time tonight here with GoFAST Racing Season 4. As they roar down towards turn number 1, Ormiston in the Mustang does get the better start, but Ouroboros desperately wants to fight that position back into turns 1 and 2. Tychopath does stay clean for now, but they are side by side behind two Slap Your Mom Racing teammates, one beside the other. And I believe that is the 34, the 24 of Peaches has actually gone up a myriad of positions, right up beside number 86 of Trixit. A bit further back down the order, Schwartz, I believe, has gone down a few positions, and it is Nate who has gone up a few. And Nate in that Mustang is pulling away. Battle here for the lead between Ormiston and Ouroboros, though. The Ferrari in the slipstream, able to pull alongside the Mustang, but they'll go side by side through turn 8. You don't really go side by side through there. Ouroboros had to go very, very wide. Did not make the corner, and will lose a bit of time, but will not lose too much. Tychopath holding on to that P3 as he watches those two battle up ahead. The number 969 of Guzman off the track around at turn 9. And will rejoin at the back of the pack. We do have a bit of an incident up ahead. That is the 427 of Nate. And Nate goes around. It's not over. Championship hopes pulling away like the pack that he is now going to have to chase down. And maybe a bit of an alternate strategy. We'll see if Nate comes into the pit lane. Tire wear is a bit of a critical factor here at Paul Ricard, as you do have some very tire demanding technical sections in sectors 1 and 3. Ormiston and Ouroboros trying to pull away, and Tychopath just wants to keep his nose clean and give chase. Tychopath actually takes the fastest lap of the race. The number 128 of Goose Slayer around, though, and into the pit lane. Same thing with the 51 of Leclerc in the Ferrari. James Earl Jones and Manelli behind Manelli, trying to get a move on. Who is that? Dingham in the McLaren. It's Schwartz up ahead, but Tychopath still way up the order. Is Ouroboros going to be able to put another attempt onto Ormiston into turn 8? Ormiston goes defensive, at least lightly defensive, to the inside. Does not have to stick to it. The Ferrari not close enough, but the Ferrari does go a touch wide. Are we going to have a battle here between Marvy and Tychopath into turn 9? Very, very wide from all of them, and Ouroboros just up ahead had to go wide. Will lose the gap to the Mustang of Ormiston up ahead. A bit further behind, it's a trio of McLarens. Griffith, Trixit, and Slapshot. Slapshot down to P8. Will have to try and make his way past a longtime rival of Trixit. Slapshot a bit ambitious to try and go up the inside. It was not going to work. But we have got a absolute cluster here. I thought that was Marvy that was causing a bit of the backup, but no, it's Aramich who is going defensive, trying to hold the McLaren of Griffith at the inside. And then the teammate of Trixit will also try to go around the outside, side by side between the two. Griffith is able to hold it out. Slapshot and Brute, as Brute takes the fastest lap of the race. Some good hard racing here, some good close racing, as some people will have will like to hear. Coming through the section of 6 and 7. Trixit with Slapshot in tow, then Brute in the Porsche, who does have that purple lap. And a slipstream train beginning to form a bit. Shuby second place in AM, but a gap has grown to the 999 of Sierra. That 999 Lexus, I believe, has a bit of damage on the side. And Nate has to try and bring up the rear. Does have a group of cars up ahead that he can leap some slipstream off of. Aramich now applying pressure onto the rear of Marvy. A bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing is that BMW with the Aston Martin colors. Is no, Aramich, that is not an Aston Martin teammate. Into turn 12. Is Aramich going to be close enough for an overtake into turn 13? No, but he does force Marvy slightly defensive. It's a drag race to the line, a drag race to turn 1, and Aramich does get alongside. Pretty evenly matched. The BMW might have a bit of a top speed advantage, but no, does not have the momentum. Is Aramich going to lock it down around the outside? Marvy wants to fight it door to door through turn 1 into 2. Aramich does get it locked in ahead, and Aramich up into P4. Tychopath a bit on his own up ahead, and Marvy under attack from Griffith as Griffith wants to get into there. Griffith does have to deal with Trixit, and 2 by 2, it's like a formation lap. It was Griffith, Trixit, and then I believe that is Slapshot and Brute. Slapshot wanted to go up the inside of Brute, has gone past. Then your mom, Douglas, and Peach. A lot of race winners all here together in this group, and definitely using a lot of slipstream to try and hold on to each other. Slipstream, the name of the game, down the backstretch, but they split up into 2 groups. It's like NASCAR. Daytona isn't for a couple weeks though, guys. Inside line and the outside line, the momentum shifts to the outside line. 2 drivers on the inside. This is not super speedway racing. Side by side through turn 8 go the teammates, and door to door into turn 9. They're going to make it through with no contact. Slapshot gets pushed around outside. Bullied is the old man. As Trixit, as your mom goes up the inside, Slapshot says, no, I want to go back around. Is Slapshot going to pull the old switcheroo on the teammate? No, I don't think so. It is nose to tail, though. Trixit, Slap, Brute, your mom, Douglas, Peach, all the way back to Ketu. in the NSX, who is just at the rear. And Ketu sends the move down into the final corner. He does get it locked in ahead of the 334 of Peach, now locked in behind the Ferrari of Douglas. Francisco in the BMW at the back of this pack, and Shuby starting to close in. Francisco eyes a move on Peach into turn 1, but it's not going to materialize. Checking back on with the race lead, it is still a battle for the race lead between Ouroboros and Ormiston. One behind the other. Ouroboros just unable to get past. That Mustang has a superior top speed to just about everything else on the grid. But Ouroboros doing a good job of staying through the technical sectors. Aramich trying to lead this group to catch up to the number 93 in P3 of Tychopath. And as of right now, as long as Tychopath doesn't have anything else going wrong, is going to cruise to an AM championship tonight. Just have to wait and see. Ormiston outside of slipstream range of Ouroboros, or at least outside of attacking range. Aramich just behind. The gap is starting to grow. Not quite having the super speedway racing that we were just a lap ago. But the margins are still tight. We'll see if they bunch up through sector 3. The outside curb there at turn 8. No, Slapshot goes wide. Your mom makes contact. Slapshot make it through? No, Slapshot picked up in the collateral. Tried to avoid the contact. Brute involved, Trixit involved, or not Trixit involved, your mom involved, and your mom goes around again into the sand trap at turn 10. And it is a pressure cooker. Eventually that pressure has to be released. That releases either an overtake or contact, and it was contact there. Close racing, but it does not last forever. GWN Scroll getting the pit stop out of the way, allowing the leaders to go on through. He will take the shortcut through the sector or the turn 1 chicane. Aramich, Marvey, and Griffith, as a gap has now formed to Trixit behind, and the gap between Trixit and Douglas in the void where your mom, Slapshot, and Brute were. Ketu and Peach having a bit of a scrap into turn 3. Peach may be trying to line up the move through turns 4, 5, and 6. And he will get the inside of the Porsche. Very good on rotation. Just not so good at applying that power. Ketu stays in front. Francisco and the BMW had to take a bit of evasive action. Wanted to go 3 wide through turn 6. It's a bit of a wide breast for that many cars in that section of the track, but wanted to make it work. Now Peach will pull alongside the NSX of Ketu. This is the battle for P9. We do have a couple more cars hopping into the back of that. Ketu now has the inside. Peach was not able to get fully around, is scored ahead, and Peach will lock in the position. Francisco now wants to go up the inside of Ketu at turn 9. Ketu will try and hold it around the outside, does stick to it around the outside. Ouroboros and Ormiston lined up one right beside the other, door to door, as they came across the timing line at the beginning of sector 3 at the end of the straight. The gap will just continue to hold steady. Aramich with Marvey and Griffith behind, the pressure being applied, and they are also just chipping away at the gap to Tychopath up ahead. Tychopath sitting comfortably in P3, but I can imagine that if this group does catch him behind, not going to be too defensive, and we'll just let them go on by and take it. The 333 of Cave off at turn 11 does get back onto the track. Everything A-OK there, I believe. Slapshot into the pit lane on a bit of a different pit strategy. Has to try and recoup some time, but a lot of time lost with that spin. The Aston Martin of Yakashokis may have gotten a move on Giant. I believe he did. They were close when they came to the line, where Giant is right behind and applying the pressure. BMW very, very strong here at Paul Ricard. And side by side, they're banging doors as they come into turn 8. Ouroboros gets it done. Is Ormiston going to attack back, though? I don't think this is over. Ouroboros has been able to sit behind and just get close. I saw the gap was once again close, but I figured it would take a lap or so for the move to materialize, but no, Ouroboros gets it done. They made contact as they came into turn 8, but things ultimately stayed clean between the two of them. Ouroboros locks in the position, and these two are definitely going to be playing a pit stop game. Ouroboros may be a sitting duck to the Mustang, though. The gap's 0.6 of a second, but on that long back straight, as long as Ormiston can keep it somewhat close and within slipstream range, Ormiston may just fly right on by. Aramich behind Marvy, or ahead of Marvy with Griffith. Griffith trying to get a move on Marvy. Marvy trying to just hold on to the rear of Aramich. Aramich trying to close up onto the rear of Tycho Path. That gap is dropping. Tycho Path, if they are going to go past, just needs them to do it nice and easy. Ormiston has the faster car. Ormiston is going to barely be inside slipstream range. We'll watch backwards from Ouroboros to see how fast that Mustang really is. About halfway down the straight, that gap will start to close as the Ferrari does reach its top speed. You see the Mustang is closing, but it's not closing fast enough. Is Ormiston going to be able to get this position back away from Ouroboros? These Animus Racing Pacifica drivers, as they get out in front, like Prieto has, it's one of the reasons why he is our champion this season. Griffith and Marvy laying it all on the line coming into turn 8. Marvy holding on to the position, though. Don't know exactly what everyone is looking at in terms of track limit violations, as we have seen, or as I have stated before, track limits definitely an issue here at Paul Ricard, trying to push too hard. Just a track limit violation here, a track limit violation there, and boom, you've got a drive-through penalty. The drive-through penalty would pretty much spell the end of your race. A third of the way through. And Tycho Path, as it stands, is going to be scored your AM Championship winner. But he does have to finish. He's got to get a pit stop out of the way. Hopefully he has practiced. And as of right now, just running clean. Third place overall, definitely going to be promoted as he can hang with the big dogs at the front of the field. Very excited to see what Tycho Path can do next season. Aramich, Marvy, and Griffith all here close to one another. Go back a ways down to P9. Peach, Ketu, and Francisco. Ketu and Francisco now having their scrap. Peach trying to run away from the two. James Earl Jones leading Sierra, Dingham, Langley, and I think your mom is just bringing up the rear there. Remember, was involved in that contact, and Manelli, depending on how you looked at it, was right there tied with Tycho Path for the AM Championship. But as of right now, it is not looking good for Manelli's championship hopes. Needs a miracle if he wants anything to happen, if he wants to have a bit of a better chance, better result, because based on the finishing standings right now, Manelli is not going to be the AM champion. Sierra needs to win in AM to take it home. And Nate can't be counted out either, is sitting third in the AM standings. A little ahead though, Michael D making a move onto the McLaren. Which McLaren is that? That's not the McLaren, sorry, that is the Ferrari, just the same color of the McLaren of Griffith. And Nate is slicing and dicing. Has made his way past 5 of Autry and is looking for a way past the 12 of Nightwalker. If he can find it, will give the position back to Autry. And it's going to be an out-of-sequence pit stop for Nate. He brings it in. As long as it's not a speeding penalty, everything should be a-okay. And we'll see if this alternate strategy bears any fruit for Nate. It's about all he has to rely on at this point. Nate, especially after being involved with that early incident, getting put to the back of the field. And Autry gets that drive-through penalty for track limits. Same thing with the 51 of Leclerc. Those drive-through penalties are definitely going to be a factor. We'll see if any of our top contenders end up finding themselves with one, as it would definitely spoil their night and spoil their season finale. This trio here is getting a bit tight. Marvy, Griffith, Trixit now involved as Aramich has pulled away a bit up ahead. There is the traffic of Scroll, I believe, involved in that as well. Marvy wants to try and pull away, but just has not been able to. Griffith has had an absolute onslaught, unable to get the position away from Marvy, but damned if he hasn't been trying. Still with half of the race left to go, a little over half of the race left to go. Plenty of opportunity. Is Griffith going to go on to the alternate strategy? Yes, coming in just a little bit before halfway. Does want to try and get the undercut. We'll see if it works. Nate, a nice clean stop. Langley has also come into the pit lane. Dingham has come in. Schwartz has come in. Nate in the pit lane, or came out of the pit lane. I don't know if he took any repairs or not. Comes out just ahead of the leaders. I don't know if he lost a lap or not. I don't think he did. I believe everyone's still on the lead lap, at least as far as I know. Peach into the pit lane, Francisco into the pit lane, Giant in the pit lane. Michael D rolling into the pit lane, Autry rolling into the pit lane, I think serving the drive-through penalty. Griffith rolling out of the pit lane. We'll see where he comes out. He's actually not going to have any traffic around, and that could be very, very good or very, very bad. Griffith will not have any help with Slipstream. So he's going to be sitting out on his own. Actually may be able to use the Mustang of Autry. Who else has come in? Shuby has come in, Manelli has come in, Nightwalker has come in. But I believe Nate will be scored ahead. Nate may be scored ahead. We'll see if Manelli comes back out ahead of the two. It's a long way out of the pit lane. I believe Manelli may come out ahead of Nate. Ouroboros and Ormiston continue on. Both of these drivers will do the opposite strategy of the other, I believe. I'd be very, very surprised if they came in one behind the other. Marvy stays out. Aramich comes in. Team Beatty came on doing the double stack, calling them both in. Aramich and Trixit both into the pit lane, as the team has decided it is time for the pit stop. Griffith, the furthest ahead, who has completed a pit stop. Your mom into the pit lane as well. The 416 of Slapshot has gone into the pit lane and come out. A bit of damage, no need to repair it though. Don't think it is affecting the handling of the car. Ouroboros is now pulling away from Ormiston. Some traffic may have had a little bit of involvement with that occurrence. About half of the field has come in to get their pit stop out of the way. Leclerc serving the drive-through penalty, or no, I believe is parking it for the night. Aramich off the Jackson, rolling out of the pit lane. Trixit and your mom will be doing the same soon. Bradzilla coming into the pit lane, and Autry rolling into the pit lane as well. Ouroboros and Ormiston. Ouroboros just ahead. We'll see when they come in. Don't have any real need to come in right now. They are racing each other, and one is definitely not going to want to give the other driver any sort of advantage, no matter what it may be. Ouroboros comes in, and Ormiston is going to stay out. They will do the opposite of each other. If Ormiston came in, Ouroboros would have stayed out for a long time. I believe that we are going to see Ormiston stay out for a long time. Ouroboros has shown that he is the faster of the two and does have that fastest lap of the race. Devin Lingard chasing the number 27 of Yakashokis. May have an overtake coming into turn 11. Or turn 12, I should say. And up the inside, nearly make contact. Yakashokis doesn't want to give it away so easily. Devin Lingard has to try it around the outside, side by side amongst the two, but I believe Yakashokis will dive into the pit lane, and yes, he will. Ormiston stays out. Ouroboros still in the pit lane and still on the jack. Sierra comes into the pit lane. Tychopath rolling out of the pit lane. Ouroboros rolling out just ahead. Tychopath a ways to go to get out of the pit lane, but Ouroboros is back out. Ormiston on the other side of the track. We'll see how long Ormiston stays out. Historically, these two, when they go on alternate strategies, they go on the extreme of the alternate strategy. Michael D gets a drive-through penalty for track limits. James Earl Jones rolling out of the pit lane. Guzman rolling out of the pit lane. Yakashokis and Sierra, two still in the pit lane. Ormiston still yet to come in. James Earl Jones and Peach were one behind the other, but I think that may have just been a coincidence coming across the line. Yakashokis off the jacks. Ormiston comes into the pit lane, doesn't stay out as long as I had expected him to. Ketu likely to come in this lap as well. We'll see if he dives over to the left-hand side, and no, will stay out. Zoanam possibly doing the same thing. Devin Lingard and Cabe would be the next two needing to come into the pit lane. Michael D has to serve a drive-through penalty as well. Ormiston in the pit lane. Where is the race leader of Ouroboros? Ormiston, the reigning champion on the jacks. Welcome in, whatever, and thank you for the raid. Currently, our reigning champion in the pit lane, the race leader, is just coming out and around. Ormiston will wait if he drops off the jacks. Ormiston should be coming off the jacks soon. They were one behind the other. Ormiston is rolling, but is it going to be enough? Has Ouroboros got the undercut? Ouroboros has gone past and has actually got a very large overcut. And Ouroboros will lock in the position. This battle continuing on. Tychopath is currently scored the AM champion. If he can just finish in this position tonight, Tychopath should take home the AM championship just behind Aramich and Griffith, one behind the other. This battle has gone on for some time. Marvy, now being demoted a few positions, is now under attack from Douglas as they come into turns 3 and 4. The season finale of GoFAST Racing here. This is a console league, and it is the fastest console league that you will find on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Marvy trying to be defensive against Douglas and the Ferrari in the slipstream down the backstretch. Marvy will try and force Douglas to go around the outside. Douglas does not want to, and it's a bump draft down the backstretch between the two of them. Will Douglas dive to the inside, or is he just trying to close up the gap to Trixit? I think there may be a little bit of cooperation between these two. Marvy and Douglas into turn 9. Marvy may have overcooked it slightly. Douglas did the same thing. They go very, very wide around 9. Coming back through 10, they keep it nice and tidy. Battle between these two. Griffith gets a bit loose. Tycho Path being overtaken by Aramich. Tycho Path doesn't want to give it. Elbows out door to door as Tycho Path goes a bit too deep. Don't think Aramich is going to be too happy about that one, but I don't know why you'd be racing so hard. As Tycho Path is not necessarily in direct competition with these two behind him. He is in a spot to be scored on the podium, the overall podium. It would be his first overall podium, but he has also got a championship on the line that he cannot risk losing, and possible penalty points coming post-race if the stewards decide to look at that incident there between the two. There was not really much loss of time or speed, but Aramich did have that position locked down, and I think Tycho Path may have been a bit aggressive in defending it. The teammate of Aramich just a couple car lengths behind. It is Trixit, Griffith, and Aramich all trying to chase down the McLaren of Tycho Path, who should be taking home the AM Championship tonight. Silly moves may take that away. Tycho Path just needs to hold on to the position tonight, just needs to keep his calm and bring it home for the championship. Ketu in the pit lane. Zoanam will be the last left to come into the pit lane, and a lot of damage on that Porsche. And will stay out for the time being. Ouroboros with a large gap to Ormiston. And then Tycho Path technically will be P3. More contact between Tycho Path and Aramich. And somehow they hold on to it. Unsure of exactly what's going on there, but Tycho Path very aggressively trying to defend the position. Again, I am not a steward, but it's a bit stubborn in my opinion. You've got a championship. You don't need to risk losing it, especially if you are awarded any penalties that may take track positions away at the end. I have to wait and see for the official results later. Tycho Path should have the AM Championship locked down. And while I don't think any finishing positions would be affected class-wise, he does have Shuby not too far away, which would be a class demotion if Shuby were to get up ahead. But Sierra in P3, if any penalty time gets added to Tycho Path, she desperately needs to avoid, could spell ruin for his championship hopes tonight. Again, Tycho Path in a very, very good spot, just does not need to lose it. Marvy up ahead as the two teammates are beside each other. Douglas tries to break the toe of Tycho Path, who is now down to P8. Does not want Tycho Path to get any advantage, and Tycho Path did not deviate from the racing line. Langley and Shuby in battle here for P13. Shuby in P2 in the AM class. As we come around turn 9. Langley still trying to chase down Shuby. Where has Nate ended up in all of this? Down in P6 in AM. I don't think Nate is going to have too much luck with an AM championship tonight, and Manelli, I think, may have given it away tonight. Expressed some disdain for Circuit de Paul Ricard, which I can understand. It's not a favorite track of many. But in order to be a champion, you've got to be able to put it down on any track regardless of the layout, regardless of the circumstances, rain or shine, night or day. Champions endure it all. Manelli put in a very good run, and again, all of these standings are unofficial until the stewards deem them official, and all penalties and things will be applied. And drop races need to be calculated as well. It was a very, very close race, or close run between Tychopath and Manelli. Unsure of exactly what the drop races have in store. When the standings get uploaded tonight, we will see. But again, any standings are unofficial until any post-race changes have been implemented. Two Slap Your Mom teammates down, P15 and P16. We're having a good run tonight, but just not quite the run that they were looking for. Slapshot qualified P4. Actually, sorry, not P4. That was Tychopath at P4 in the McLaren. Tychopath, or Slapshot, I believe, qualified P8. Slapshot. Sorry, not Tychopath. Slapshot qualified P7. I believe your mom P8. The two Slap Your Mom racing teammates beside each other at the start of the race. Two Team BDK Mod teammates in P5 and 6. Zoanam has yet to come into the pit lane, still staying out for quite a long time. He does have a good bit of damage on that Porsche. Ouroboros in the Ferrari is chasing him down, and whenever Zoanam does eventually come into the pit lane, he will relinquish that race lead. But Zoanam has led a few laps, adding to his career tally. Trixit, Aramich, then Marby. This group of 3 or 4 has stayed for quite some time. Griffith now leads this group when it was Griffith right in the middle of it. Griffith does not have any help with the slipstream though, and those drivers behind, especially the two teammates of Trixit and Aramich with that slipstream, should eventually be able to close in on the lone Griffith at the front. Marvy wants to split the teammates into turn 8, though it's not quite going to happen. Will he be able to get a run on Aramich into turn 9? He eyes the move up the inside. It's not going to stick. But Marvy is definitely there with an opportunity. Zoanam still not going into the pit lane, does have to make a pit stop before the end of the race if he does not want a hefty penalty to be applied. I believe it's 130 seconds, the penalty. Trixit, Aramich, and Marvy. This battle, Peach and Francisco were also in a battle. Francisco is right there behind. Francisco just having to continue to chase. Ketu has got into this battle as well, is not far behind. But it is still this group of 4 fighting for P4. Griffith, Trixit, Aramich, and Marvy, all one behind the other. They all 4 fit into one frame as they come through turn 6. Turns 4, 5, 6, and then eventually 7. Trixit got a bit of a wobble, kind of some understeer on the front tires, had to make a bit of a correction. Is that going to hurt Trixit's top speed down the backstretch? Aramich is definitely in tow and is getting a ton of slipstream help. And they are closing up onto the rear of Griffith very, very quickly. They're not quite going to be close enough, but I think Griffith's got a poor run out of turn 7 as they come through 8 and then 9. They are definitely closing in on the lone McLaren just up ahead in P4. Battle between Peach, Francisco, and Ketu continues on. Francisco in the British Racing Green BMW, Ketu in the white NSX. Zoanam does go into the pit lane, which is going to give Ouroboros the race lead back, and with quite a large margin. I think there really is no contest for the race win. Not going to be much of a drag race between those 4, but between Peach, Ketu, and Francisco. Ketu made it past Francisco. Langley also in this fight, and the Mustang has joined up onto the rear. 7 minutes left in this race for the Season 4 finale here with GoFAST Racing. If you're on console and looking for a league to join, this is the fastest league based on LFM BOP, and if you can run times around the 103, 104%, you can make it into the AM class. But just to let you know, our pro field, our pro drivers are running times right at 100% or 101% LFM pace. Insane speed for a console league. And many drivers wouldn't believe you if you told them, especially those who may be coming from PC. Things have definitely calmed down here in the closing stages, but Aramich is right on the rear of Griffith. I think Griffith may be using a bit of a higher downforce setup than that group of 3 behind. As they come through turn 8, Aramich immediately behind Griffith, Trixit in tow, Marvy in tow, Douglas just in the background, and Tychopath there as well, but it is going to start to get tight. Aramich has caught Griffith. They will now be in slipstream range. Aramich gets a much better run out of turn 10 as they come through the long left-hander of 11. Eventually to the, long right-hander of 11, eventually to the left-hander of 12, and then the sharp right-hander of 13. Is Aramich going to be able to get a better run out of the corner than Griffith? Griffith, I believe, is on a higher downforce setup, which does give him better handling through the technical sectors of sectors 1 and 3. Through turns 1 and 2. Griffith ahead of Aramich, ahead of Trixit, ahead of Marvy. We'll check back in with this battle just behind Peach, Ketu, and Francisco. Francisco is starting to be dropped back from that pack and is being attacked by the Mustang of Langley. Back up ahead, Aramich, who is now going to be in the slipstream range of Griffith. Right on board on the dash of Aramich. We'll see if he is able to find a way past. See if Griffith starts to weave, wants to break that toe. No, he is going to hold stoic on the outside. Will he follow Aramich to the inside? No, he will not, but side by side between the two. They come into turn 8. It is side by side. Aramich does get it closed off up ahead of the khaki McLaren. Trixit also wants a piece. I think Trixit, while he is also in the McLaren, is also on a lower downforce setup, as Griffith just does not have the top end down the backstretch. Trixit out of 10 to try and chase down the McLaren. You can see that Griffith gets a much better run out of turn 10, out of those slower corners, but just does not have the guts to stand up to the pack when it comes to the top speed. Peach still trying to defend from Ketu, and Griffith has to come into the pit lane. Did he not have enough fuel in the car? I'm guessing not. With just a couple minutes left, has to bow out of that fight. And now it is Trixit and Marvy left to their own devices. They void between Trixit and Aramich. And I don't think Trixit is quite close enough to get within slipstream range. Douglas has gotten a bit closer in this battle, may just be within slipstream range should those two of Trixit and Marvy continue to battle. Tychopath also being brought into this fight. There were 4, now make it 5. If Tychopath and Douglas can get within slipstream range. Peach, Ketu, Francisco, Langley, and now your mom coming into this group, making this a 5-way battle as well. Ouroboros will see if there will be enough time for one more lap or two more laps. If we get one more lap for sure, we'll ride along board with Ouroboros for just a moment. We'll see when he crosses the line. If there's 1 minute and 54 seconds left on the clock, that will be enough time for one more lap. I think there will be, enough for two more laps. By just a few seconds, we will have two more laps to race. I think Ouroboros will come across the line with about 5 or 6 seconds left on the clock. It's up to him whether or not he wants to use that gap up and end the race early, or if he wants to go for one more lap. He's not really under any sort of threat. He does have 12 seconds back to his competitor of Ormiston in P2. Peach and Ketu. Ketu getting a bit aggressive coming into turn 13. Out of 13, Peach trying to get onto the power, but the NSX a bit better on the power out of the corner. Francisco and Langley also back behind. Your mom in the McLaren has pulled onto the back of this group as well. Things are starting to get spicy in the closing stages of this race, the closing stages of this season. Ouroboros, your race leader, is a long ways off. Ormiston, not quite as long of a ways off, but a long ways off still. But Aramich in P3 wants to hold on to the last spot on the podium. Trixit in P4, Marvy in P5, and within slipstream range, or right at slipstream range. We'll see if he will be able to pose a threat to Trixit, or if their positions will be decided. The 334 of Peach with Ketu alongside. They go side by side and down the stretch. Those four that we were just on, Aramich, Trixit, Marvy, and Douglas. No battle for position, no chains of position between them. Almost 3 wide behind. I think your mom has gone up the inside of the both of them. Francisco wants a cutback. Ouroboros has started the final lap of the race. Ketu and Peach side by side, door-to-door racing. Ketu goes around the outside at turn 9 as Peach have an opportunity to take it back up the inside at turn 10. No, I think Ketu has closed the ground and got it done. I think Ketu will be riding off into the sunset. Your mom has gotten ahead of both Francisco and Langley. I don't think your mom will be close enough to catch up to the two just a ways up ahead. And the gaps between Trixit, Marvy, and Douglas starting to grow as well. As it stands with just 1 lap to go, Tychopath is unofficially going to be your AM champion and will be graciously promoted up to pro. Very, very quick is Tychopath. And very glad to have Tychopath here with us in GoFAST Racing. Always glad to see new up-and-coming talent to challenge the likes of Ouroboros, Ormiston, Aramich, Trixit, Slapshot, Brute, Platypus, Marvy, longtime drivers with GoFAST Racing. And we hope to just continue to add to that list. Join the Discord if you haven't. There is a link to the GoFAST Racing Discord or my Discord. Number 24 of Brute disqualified, possibly for driving backwards. Ouroboros out of the final corner and across the line will win the final race of the season, and another win for the Animus Racing team. Animus Racing Pacifica, your season 14 champions. Prieto on that team, not present here tonight, is your overall champion. Ormiston takes home P2. Aramich will bring home P3, the final spot on the podium. And then Trixit behind will bring home P4. One behind the other for the Team BDK Mod teammates. Marvy P5, Douglas P6, Tychopath P7, and unofficially your AM champion. Ketu will bring home P8, Peach P9, your mom P10, Francisco P11, Langley P12, Slapshot P13. Drag race to the line between the two. Who has gone around though? It's Shuby around, makes contact with the 999 of Sierra. Sierra will gain a position in that though. Giant P14, Dingham P15, Sierra P2 in M. Don't know exactly, I don't think that is going to directly affect the AM Championship. Schwartz P19, Nate P20, Griffith P21, Zoanom P22, Cabe P23, Michael D P27, Bradzilla P26, Manelli P25, Cabe P23. And Scroll will be our final driver to cross the line. Autry crossing the line in the Mustang P28. And Scroll will come out of the final corner. Ormiston giving us some donuts. I think we may have just gotten some donuts from Ouroboros. But Ormiston giving us a few more. And Scroll across the line. The final driver to bring an end to this session is Ouroboros taking home the win. Ormiston P2, Aramich P3, Animus Racing Pacifica, your Season 4 team champions. And in AM, Tychopath takes home the win, should be the AM champion. Sierra P2, Shuby P3 in AM. And I believe that will be it for GoFast Racing Season 4. And a good job to everyone. I believe Tychopath has officially been scored as the AM champion. Thank you all to everyone who has stuck with me throughout this season. Thank you to those of you who have followed tonight. It has been a great season. Another season with GoFast Racing is always a good season. Thank you all for supporting me. We will still be streaming with TRC on Wednesdays until the next season does begin, but it will be a bit of a break between seasons 4 and Season 5, but Season 5 is coming. Record-breaking grids. 9 out of 10 races had over 40 drivers on the grid. And I was going to do interviews, but I think we may hold off. But interviews are coming next season, so make sure you guys have a mic. We will be doing interviews next season. And I think we are going to maybe give a bit of a raid to Trackalicious. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you all have a good night. And thank you all for another great season.